The market grinds into the pivot as we wait for the 3 of 3 breakout. This is Invest with Jacob. Okay guys, so in yesterday's video I told you that the primary path was primed to move over the wave 1 high and into the pivot, and that's exactly what we saw. The market grinded its way higher up into the pivot area, and now we're looking for the wave 3 of 3 breakout. The question is, will the bulls push through? I'll get into that in just 1 second, but first, if you're new here, welcome to the show, guys. My name is Jacob Gabbard, and this is Invest with Jacob, where we use Elliott Wave Theory to break down the SP 500 and the NASDAQ. I highly encourage you to hit that subscribe button down below so that you can get our daily S&P updates, our trade setups, and our buy alerts. All right, guys, before we jump into the charts, as always, I like to highlight some members that give me excellent testimonials. I really appreciate it because that's what I'm here for. I truly care about the people in my room and love to see things like this where I'm changing people's lives and helping them make money in the market for the first time ever. It's an exciting feeling, and if you want to join our team and become part of that, stay tuned for later in the video. For now, let's jump into the chart and take a look. Okay, guys, so here we are on the 1-hour futures chart for the S&P 500. If you're watching this for the first time or you're just catching up, we had our low back here that we called in December. We built our 5-wave structure up to give us our wave 1 of C. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves up to give us wave 1, okay? We pulled back in wave 2 into our wave 2 support box, exactly where we thought we would, caught support there, and started to rally in wave 1 of 3. And then we looked for a pullback in 2 of 3, which we got, held support, and rallied very strongly. And then yesterday I told you when they rallied up to about here that we should break higher, and it's going to look like this in the pivot. You're going to get this kind of choppy behavior, and that's what we got. The hourly chopped around here, right around the pivot. Remember, that's the 618 and 764 extension of this wave 1 right here and this wave 2 right here. So you got that 1, 2, gives you that 618 to 764 extension using your fib extension tool. And once we get into that pivot area, we see this chop, and then we look for that breakout over 4090 for full confirmation that we are in wave 3. The move over the wave 1 high and the wave 1 of 3 high was very bullish. It's extremely bullish. And now we look for a move up through the pivot to a minimum of 4148, but more accurately or more commonly, we would look for 4207 as the 1236 extension of waves 1 and 2 for our wave 3 of bigger wave 3. From there, we'd look for a pullback to test the pivot at about the 4090 area for smaller wave 4. And then we get another move higher up toward the 4300 area, and that would just complete wave 3. As it's projecting right now, guys, we are looking at about 4400 overall. But right now, wave 3, okay, would end at the 1618 roughly at about 4300. We've been talking about that since last October, and actually a little bit before that. And then we would look for the bigger 4 down and 5 up to that 4400, but we'll cross those bridges when we get to it. Let's keep it simple for now with where we're at. So again, we're still looking for them to grind through this pivot. We could see even a little bit of a pullback or rejection here as they're in the pivot, but the NQ is trying to break through, which we'll look at in just a minute, and that's a leading indicator that we could be pushing higher more directly. So might chop a little more before we break out, might even pull back a little bit before we break out, but the setup is for a breakout higher toward the 4200 area in a pretty direct fashion. Okay, if they can't break out directly, it is possible we can see a pullback here. And that pullback would be a retrace of this move up. So we take our fib retracement tool, okay, off of the wave 2 low. We draw it up here. And if they want to pull back and give us a little bit of a reset before we move higher, okay, we would expect them to hold the 4020 to 4008 area. Can go as low as 39.92 before we start to worry that it's breaking down, and a break of the wave 2 of 3 low is a strong sign that we may be breaking down in this move and failing at that point. But I don't see that happening, as now it's a pretty strong setup. It's one of the strongest Elliott Wave setups you can have. So I do see a follow-through day up to the 4200. And I'm not saying we're going to 4200 tomorrow. I'm saying the target is 4200. It may take a few days. It may be tomorrow. I don't know. I don't care about time. I care about price. So we're looking for that breakout over the 4090 area to that 4207 area in a pretty direct fashion. Once we clear 4090, we should see some acceleration, and we should hit a minimum of 4148. We'll call it 4150 and make it easy. And more commonly, we'll hit that 4207 level. If not, we could see a pullback to the support levels I mentioned, and those are the 2 paths we'll be tracking for now. Over on the NASDAQ, okay, off the low back here, again, we have our move up in wave 1, big wave 2. Then we got wave 1 of 3 and wave 2 of 3, and now the market is trying to break out over the pivot. It pushed up over the 764. Now, oftentimes, you can see the red bar starting to come down here after hours. I don't give after hours a whole lot of stock unless it makes a big move, but the hour in between the close of the market and the close of the futures isn't that big of a deal usually. But we see this move up. It pushes through the pivot at 12,083, but hasn't really broken free of the pivot. We really want to see it get out of here and accelerate into that 12,300 area. So there's a chance they could pull back and chop a little bit more here in the pivot while the ES catches up possibly, and then break out. And when they break out, we would look for them to target the 12,561 area, okay, and wave 3 of 3, and then pull back to this 12,083 area. So very similar path to the NASDAQ or to the ES on the NASDAQ, as it's also trying to break out of its pivot. So we're looking for a break of that 12,083 level, a push up to 12,561. And here's what I will tell you, that since the NASDAQ is already trying to break its pivot, it's going to be ahead of the ES most likely. So when it does break its pivot, we could look for that 12,708 area in a more direct fashion up to that 1382 extension of waves 1 and 2. Very possible we see that kind of move while the ES catches up and hits the 1236. So keep an eye on that. Once it gets to this 12,561 area, I'd start to get cautious for a pullback toward that 12,083 area. And from there, we'd look for another leg higher to complete wave 3. And that would take us up toward the 13,000 level for that. So that's what we're looking for on the NASDAQ to the high side for the more bullish direct primary path. On the bearish side, guys, same thing. We could see a pullback as they reset and try to build energy for another bigger push. So we could see a pullback here. We would expect the pullback to hold the 11,858 area to 11,798 area, as low as 11,725. But again, if they break this wave too low, that's a strong sign that things are going south, and this move up is failing at that time. But I don't see that happening again. We have a very strong bullish setup here on the NASDAQ as well. So we are looking for a potential pullback that holds support, but ultimately that 12,561 plus area. Guys, if you love the information that I put out in these videos and you want real-time market updates from me, you need to check out investwithjacob.com. There's a link down in the description. Go ahead and click that link and it will take you right over to the website. Once you're there, check out our membership plans area. We have 2 incredible plans, and they both come with a 7-day free trial. That's because I want you to get in there and make sure you love it, become part of our trading team, and make sure it's for you before you ever spend a penny. You can cancel at any time. We also just started our educational series. I have our Elliott Wave for Beginners course up. You can see it right here. And that is something you can take to learn how to do Elliott Wave like I do. This is a beginner's course, so it's not going to be quite as advanced, but I will continue to put educational material in there for intermediate and advanced training as well. In our 2 rooms, the first one is our Invest with Jacob room. In there, you get all of my real-time market updates, all of my buy and sell alerts, all of your Elliott Wave questions answered, a midday video where I tell you exactly where we're at in the counts and what to expect, as well as the educational series that I just showed you. We trade the SPY and the QQQ, and we swing trade, which means our trades can last anywhere from a few days to a few months, so we don't trade quite as often as a day trading room does. However, if you are interested in day trading as well as individual stocks, you need to check out PT's Throne Room. In there, you get everything you get in the Invest with Jacob room, as well as day trading, individual stocks, and PT's reduced risk binary method that just crushes the market. He gets you in at a cheap price and gets you big multiples on your money, and it's how he structures the trade that's so unique. It's something you kind of have to see to understand, and that's another reason we give you that 7-day free trial. He also started a challenge account where he put $4,000 into an account, trading mini ES futures, averaging 3 to 4% gains per week, showing you how to build a small account into a large retirement or savings account. Guys, we would love, love, love to have you in these rooms because I want all of us to make some money together. All right, key takeaways for today. We're looking for that direct move higher. Maybe after a little more chop here in the pivot, they might have to consolidate, get things together, and then move higher. But looking for a move to the 4207 area in the next few days. We could see a smaller pullback here into the 4,008 area, but we would expect that to hold, and any break of this wave 2 of 3 low is a bad sign for the bulls. Over on the NASDAQ, same type of setup. We're looking for a direct breakout up toward that 12,561 area. We might see a little bit of a pullback into the pivot and some consolidation as they grind through, and then that move higher, but we should see a move up toward 12,561. And remember, we might see that 12,708 area just because it is ahead of the ES in this move up right now. If they do get a pullback, we would look for it to hold at the worst, the 11,725 area, up to as high as 11,858. But if they break this wave too low, that's a very bad sign for the bulls. and a signal that we may be heading lower in a more direct fashion. Guys, it's the weekend. Grab a drink, enjoy your family, do something fun, get out of the house, get off the computer, and I will talk to you next week.